this the downfall of the Fighting Nerds?
The Fighting Nerds are a Brazilian MMA gym that really rose to fame this year and the past year, and their most four notable fighters have gone 18-0 up until 2025. Known for their iconic glasses, Gene Silva, Mauricio Rufy, Carlos Prates, and Kyle Borralho looked unstoppable, all looking to claim a belt in gold, but they have all been stopped. So is this their downfall?
Man, I'm dead.
And can they make a comeback? We're going to be going over each and every fighter and what their path of success is going forward. Starting with Gene Silva, he was probably the most favored out of the Fighting Nerds, and we saw what happened to him last week. He got outdogged, outgunned, and Diego Lopez really made a statement performance out of him. With this being his first loss in the UFC, can he still make a comeback? He's 28, seemingly took the loss bad. With that being said, he will without a doubt continue to be a top 5 fighter in the UFC. He got exposed to a degree, but he landed some bombs, still made it competitive, and his stand-up is still top-notch until he got reckless. And either this is a downplay on Silva or this is hyping up Lopez, but once Silva was on the ground, he showed nothing to threaten Lopez. He was on his back, more or less, just holding on. He did use his strength to get up, but it didn't really do too much. Lopez was really had a good top pressure, and to some, I heard some people say he got possibly 10-8'd, but overall he got dominated on the ground. He's still a top 5 fighter, and we will see a comeback from Gene Silva, and I do think he's here to stay. But if he's going to dominate on the ground like that, what do you think his next opponent's plan to do? Next is Mauricio Rufy. He, out of most of the Fighting Nerds, I think he got exposed the most. He was getting taken down at will. His activity volume went down because of the threat of the takedown, and he just seemed out of place and underestimated by Benoit Saint Denis. So what's next for him? Right now, he's ranked number 15 in the lightweight division, still relatively young at 29, and he has a questionable outlook, possibly ending at the back end of the top 10. The difference with Gene Silva and him is that Silva still had a decent showcasing despite the defeat, but Rufy more seemed like he had an obvious hole in his game, especially with the skill depth of the lightweight division and the level of wrestlers there is now. You know, these wrestlers are wrestling for a lifetime, and to catch up, we just don't know if he would be able to. I don't ever see him becoming a UFC champion, but I do see him getting better. I'm not sure if the UFC still wants to push him, but if they're not saving Michael Chandler for the UFC White House event, I would like to see Chandler versus Rufy for the next fight. Next, Carlos Prates. And as I go, you'll see a reoccurring theme, a reoccurring problem. That problem is the ground game. They have amazing stand-up, decent to good takedown defense, but they lack, once they get on the ground, they really lack the ground game. And that applies for Carlos Prates as well. He's 32, and his loss came against Ian Gary earlier this year. Little side note, Ian Gary went from Conor wannabe to serious contender. But anyway, the difference in this fight was the ground game. Where Carlos Prates mostly wanted to keep it on the feet, Ian Gary has decent stand-up and can still make it competitive. He can also mix it up on the ground and do both. Prates fell victim to it and almost came back with a finish. So where does Prates go from here? Well, the welterweight has almost the deepest wrestling bag division, and Prates is ranked number 9 right now. He's going to face Leon Edwards November 15th, which is definitely could possibly be a winnable fight for him. I think with the right game plan and improvement on the ground, he can definitely win. But I think his ceiling might be on the back end of the top 5. Possibly even getting a title eliminator, but I don't see him winning. He's 32. He probably has at least a good 3 years, say 2 fights per year. You know, you never know what could happen. But I do see him being in the top 5 as his career goes on. Lastly, one of the creators of the Fighting Nerds, Kyle Borralho. He recently lost his title eliminator fight against Nasruddin Imavov in a back and forth 5-round fight. And he simply lost because he lacked the speed to be able to compete with Imavov. He fell behind, but I don't think he got exposed necessarily. He had probably one of the least worrying losses of the bunch. He's 32, and as of now, he's ranked top 5. I do think he's top 5 bound in the future, and we got a couple fighters, Izzy and Robert Whitaker, possibly retiring soon. I think his game just needs to be polished and improved. He can improve on the takedowns, cutting off the cage. Maybe get a little bit of dynamic striking, a little better. But Kyle Barlow, I don't think he should be deferred from that loss. He still has a bright outlook and be a top 5 fighter in the future. So, is the Fighting Nerds downfall really before us?
No. The Fighting Nerds are still in a very good place. A lot of people saying the downfall of the Fighting Nerds this and that, but there's no second place in MMA. You either win or you lose. This is all of their first losses in the UFC. They just all need to hit the mats. Most importantly, improve their ground game, because that's what they like the most. And majority of them are still top 5, top 10 fighters. The only question is, can any of them become champion? Tell me what y'all think. MMA Lifestyle, and I'm out.